What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. Today we got a special guest, Justin Shinko. Justin, how you doing, man?
Good, man. How are you?
Good. I always like to kick these off with what got you into real estate.
Yeah, honest to God, I was working for Publix for a long time in college and after college, and my brother, who's older than me, he's an attorney down in Columbia, which is where I was living. He just, for the longest time, tried to convince me to get into real estate. I'm not a salesperson. I'm not really a big fan of salespeople, so I was always like, no, I'm not for me. I don't like doing that kind of stuff. But he just ended up convincing me, and I got into it, and just had to admit that he was right, which was, a little frustrating. But
sometimes you got to bite your tongue.
Oh yeah, for sure. He definitely knew. He saw something in me. He knew I'd be really good at it. But I'm glad that I took his advice.
That's awesome. What'd you go to college for?
Criminal justice.
Okay.
Yeah, not what you'd expect for a realtor.
Yep. Did you graduate?
No, so I went to Greenville Tech,
Yep.
and I transferred from Greenville Tech to South Carolina, and just it wasn't ever going to work out. A lot of people that I knew in the field were like, there's no point in getting a bachelor's degree. You're going to make the same amount of money you would if you just had a high school diploma. Student loans always kind of scared me, so I just kind of stuck it out at Publix for a little while until I ended up finding real estate.
Okay, cool. And then did you start out? And so now you're at ReMax Reach, right?
Yeah.
Did you start out there?
No, so when I got into real estate, I had a childhood friend who was a realtor. She was the only realtor that I really knew. And so most people take their courses over like a few months. I did all mine in like 10 days. And so, because once I was committed, I was like, I'm going to do it.
It's time to do it, yeah.
Yeah, so I just hammered down. I took like 2 weeks off of work and just did the whole class. And I was reaching out to her during that time, and I was like, hey, you're the only person I really know that does real estate. What are some thoughts that you have? It's actually Abriana Gallup. I think you might know her. But yeah, so I knew her my whole life and really trusted her opinion. And the brokerage that she was at the time Great Homes of the Upstate. It's now Great Homes of South Carolina. So I just started over there and loved it. I was there for 3 years, and I got to learn so much being over there, and eventually just wanted to venture off and kind of start my own team.
Is that Rick Stroud?
Yep.
Okay, cool. He's a really cool dude.
He's a great guy, man.
Yeah, he is. And what made the transition over to ReMax? You just looking for something a little bit different, or what? Yeah,
so in real estate, there's there's a million ways to do it. There's a lot of brokerages that are run different ways, and I'm from here. Like, I'm from this area. I know a lot of people here. I have a really big sphere here, and I kind of just got to the point in my business where I didn't need as many company-provided leads, that's a really big part of what they are. So I'd always kind of wanted to do my own thing anyways and kind of start something. I'm sure you feel the same way about Swamp Rabbit. Like, there's a feeling about building something that's your own.
For sure.
So I just kind of got to the point where I was like, I think I'm ready to make that leap. And so I did it in March of last year. And it's crazy. It's been almost 2 years already, but it's been awesome, man.
That is awesome. So for a lot of real estate agents, that first year is really tough for them.
Yeah.
Well, how was your first year?
Yeah. So I think that's another really big thing with getting into real estate. Finding the right team is really important. And so where I was at, they had a lot of company leads. They had a lot of training and mentoring. So it was really, I don't want to say easy, because it's definitely not easy. But the foundation was definitely there for me to jump right in and get busy quickly. So I was able to do that. I had a really great first year. I closed around 30 closings.
Oh, wow.
So I was able to get busy very quickly and start really building a past clientele, I guess.
That's awesome, man. 30 in your first year. It
was great, man.
You don't hear that too much.
Yeah, it was definitely a really good year, and I've been kind of around that or a little above or below ever since then too.
That's awesome. What do you feel like you do different that kind of curates a better client experience for your clients?
Yeah, I joke around with my team all the time. I'm really big on being authentic, and so we're all very different people, and I think that what works best for me is I'm not a salesperson in any way. And I know that sounds ridiculous, being in a very sales-heavy job, of course, but I'm very genuine with my clients. I'm very authentic with them. I joke around with them all the time and just tell them, hey, I don't care what house you buy. I'm never going to sell you on a house. Even if it's my listing, I'm not going to sell you on this one house, because I want you to buy the house that works for you.
For sure.
So people, especially when I meet leads for the first time off of like Zillow or like people that I don't know that don't know me, they're like kind of thrown off a little bit after the showing, because they're like, I watch a lot of HGTV, and like, you didn't tell me about how great the countertops were. And I'm like, that's just not, I'm not gonna, when I'm going through a show and I'm trying to find like, hey, that looks like there might be an old leak stain in the ceiling over there. Like I'm trying to find stuff that they might miss,
For sure.
And I've got my little packet with all the info on the house. So, I know the roof is 19 years old on this house. So I'm going to point that out to you. There's been several hailstorms since then, and there's nothing on the disclosure about having repairs done. So that could potentially be an issue. And some people kind of joke with me, they're like, man, you're a pretty negative realtor. I'm like, no, I just want to make sure that, you see the full sphere of everything that you're getting into.
For sure, because a lot of people, they get blinded by that kind of stuff, right? Like they see the countertops, they see all the stuff you can actually see, and it's cosmetic. Like, oh, this is the perfect house, but really,
putting lipstick on a pig.
There might be some underlying issues.
Yeah, for sure. The expensive stuff, the scary stuff is usually the stuff that's missed, but it's not even really missed. It's more expensive to fix, so a lot of people don't do it.
For sure. So you said you have a team. Did you start your team when you went over to ReMax Reach?
Yeah. So when I decided to make the move, I met with a lot of different brokers in the area. Just kind of sat down with them, and they were interviewing me, but I feel like really in a way I was interviewing them, because I wanted to make sure that wherever I was going, I was going to have full creative freedom, and I wanted to be able to do my own thing. And there was a lot of things that I really loved about the brokerage that I was at originally, and I wanted to implement a lot of those things. And there was also a lot of things that I wanted to do differently that I couldn't do when I was there because it wasn't my business. So I wanted to find somewhere where I could get that kind of happy medium. And Jeremy Russell is our broker at ReMax Reach, and when I met with him for the first time, I was just kind of I was like, wow, this guy really, really open-minded, really confident in himself and in his team. And, he'd been following me for a while in real estate, and he just trusted me, and I felt like it was a really good partnership, and that's why I ended up landing there.
Yeah. Tell us about that experience of actually like starting a team and growing that team, right? Like that's got to be a little bit different. You just worry about yourself, and then now you're trying to build a team out and build them up with you as well.
Yeah, it was terrifying. So the good thing, one of the reasons why I was so eager to do a team is because when I was at my first stop, I was in a mentor role. So I trained a lot of the new agents that came in, especially the second 2 years that I was there. I would help agents through their first several transactions. I would kind of get the ball rolling for them, help them with all their contract work and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed doing that. I've always been a big team player. I played sports my whole life. So, building up people around me has always been a really big thing for me. And, it's not an exaggeration to say that real estate changed my life. So on one hand, I get that itch scratched if I get to help buyers, first-time home buyers, sellers. But on the other hand, I get to help people that are getting into our industry change their lives too, because that's the same thing that happened to me.
Yeah. What are some kind of challenges you ran into as you're growing that team,
The hardest thing for me has been telling people no when they want to come over. And again, there's
like people want to come join the team, and you're like, just not the right fit.
I'm extremely picky, and it's not that I'm a people pleaser, but I definitely see the best in everybody that I meet, for sure.
Yeah.
And I've learned about myself that I think everybody is like a rock star. I just really, truly, and I genuinely feel that way.
In their own way, right?
Yeah, like I really see the best in people. And so when I see a realtor that comes by, I'm like, man, I can turn that guy into a rock star.
Yeah.
And maybe I can, maybe I can't, but I've had to learn that not everybody is a great fit. And I've known that kind of the whole time, and we have a very particular model that we run over there. It's very agent friendly. Our cap is super low. Our splits are super low. A lot of people literally don't believe me when I tell them what our numbers are. They're like, oh, well, like, what's the catch? But I do all my own production, so I don't really make any money off of the team. Everything just goes back into buying us leads and stuff.
Yep.
But people just don't believe that because they're not used to seeing it. So, but it's been hard. We've got 8 realtors right now. We're bringing on our 8th right now through training. I've probably interviewed 60 to 70 realtors, and most places, and I'm not trying to sound bad, but like if you can fog a window, they'll hire you. Because most places make money off of you because you pay a monthly desk fee.
Yep.
So just among hiring you, they'll make money off of you. But I'm sort of the flip side of that coin. Like I spend probably $2,500 or so on each agent within their first month or two being on the team, training. I buy them yard signs, all their sign riders and stuff like that. We do a lot of merchandise, shirts and polos and stuff like that. So I put a lot into each agent. So it's a really big time and financial investment on my side. So a lot of people when I, have to tell them that, hey, it's just probably not going to be a great fit, they're kind of like thrown aback by it, because they might have interviewed at 3 places and all 3 of them offered them a job, and then when I kind of don't, it's and you feel bad because they might be a really good realtor, but it's just, if it's not a great fit, it's not a great fit, and the culture is really important to me.
I love that. That's awesome that you protect your team and you protect your time and your space like that, and are willing to point people in another direction that aren't the right fit for you.
Yeah, it's hard.
So let's get back to the buyers and sellers. What's your favorite client to work with?
I love first-time home buyers. I'm obviously happy to help anybody, but I think a big thing to me is, assuming we're probably around the same age, our generation is just not buying homes the way that they were 30, 40 years ago. I think the average first-time home buyer right now is about 40.
It seems like people aren't even getting married as early as they used to, having kids as early as they used to.
Yeah, not having as many kids as they used to. But the thing that throws me off is I truly believe in my heart that a lot of it is misinformation and it's fear-mongering online. Yeah. You see a lot of stats on Facebook. Oh, well, the average home in America is $470,000. Well, we don't live in Los Angeles. You know, we don't live in Dallas, Fort Worth. So especially when I first started 4 or 5 years ago, I had people getting homes in the low 100s. But, I had a client 2 months ago at $180,000 on almost an acre. It's a double wide, and it's not a mansion, but
it's yours.
Your starter home doesn't have to be. I think that's something that we miss a lot.
For sure. And even you see it even driving down the roads and stuff too, like houses starting in the low 200s. Yeah. Like it's still pretty affordable. You just have to have the right people guide you.
Yeah, and there's a lot out there, and new construction can be a great option. And I think the biggest miss is probably that people see. They see these beautiful homes online. They see their parents' home. Their parents have been building equity for 40, 50 years. And, they see these nice, big 5-6 bedroom homes that are $700,000, and they're, oh, well, I can't afford that, so I'm just going to rent. But, and this might sound kind of silly, but I really did not like the first house that I bought. I actually didn't like it very much. Yeah. And I bought my first home in 2021. It was during the crazy COVID boom. There was 17 offers on it, so beggars can't be choosers at that point. But I understood that it was a starting off investment. I'm going to live in it for 2 or 3 years, probably, maybe closer to 5, and then I'm going to sell it. We only ended up being there probably right around 3 years. But it's not always about buying your dream home when you're 24 years old. Just getting away from spending $24,000 a year in rent and getting something that you can build equity in. You can add value in it. You can do some updates here and there. DIY some stuff, don't change your hot water heater by yourself, but maybe paint the guest room. But
hey, I changed my hot water heater by myself.
To each their own, bro.
Yeah,
but
I got the bill, or I got the quote for one. I was like, oh, I'm gonna try this out. I'll try it.
My first house, I got a quote to get a fence built, and it was $10,000.
Yeah.
I called my wife, and I was like, yeah, I'm building a fence. So it was horrible. The fence turned out good.
Did it?
Her uncle came down and helped. He's a real handy guy, but. I did not take into account how wide the back of my backyard was.
Oh, yeah.
So we had to do, I think it was 32 posts or something like that. So we had to
dig the hole.
Oh, yeah.
Concrete it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the worst part was just the digging, because it was so much. I was thinking maybe 15. I hadn't measured it yet when I decided I was going to do it. And once I measured it, I was like, that's why that quote was so high.
Yep.
Yeah, that made sense.
There's a lot of work in there. That's cool, man. What's been the most fulfilling deal you've done to date? Is there one that stands out to you the most? I was like, oh, that was special.
Yeah, 100%. So I told you when I got into real estate, not a sales guy at all. I'm that guy when I go on the car lot, when they come running out to me, I want to yell at them. I don't, but I think there's a general kind of sleaziness to trying to sell somebody something, even if they like it. It just, to me, it feels like you should never convince somebody to buy something. But so when I got into real estate, I immediately knew I could be really good at this, and I know I can, but I don't know that I'm going to love it. And that kind of worried me a little bit for my first couple weeks. It took me probably 2 or 3 weeks to get my first deal under contract. And when I did, he was a single guy, early 50s, moving down from up north. He'd never owned a home before, wasn't married, didn't have kids or anything. He was the nicest guy I'd ever met in my life. And he bought, at the time, it was like a $110,000 condo in Greenville. And just, I mean, a little 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom, but it was his. And at the closing, he came in, and him and I are friends, so I know he won't, he's a little bit of a scruffy guy, He came into closing, and he had on a suit, and he had his hair, like, slicked back. I'd never seen him like that before, And he was so excited. And that was my first closing ever. Like, I'd never done this before. So when we left, we went out in the parking lot, and he was crying. Like, he was like, dude, this was the biggest day of my life. Like, thank you so much.
That's awesome.
I never thought I was going to own a home. When he first met with me, he was a lead that came in online. He wanted to look at a house. He actually thought the house was for rent, so that's why he wanted to look at it. And I kind of talked to him about, like, have you thought about buying? And he was like, oh, dude, I can't buy a house. And I was like, well, have you tried? But so he was just super thankful, and he was like, man, this really, like, I never thought I was going to own anything. This is so awesome. His parents helped him with, like, a down payment and everything, and I went and sat in my car, and I cried, man. Like, I cried like a baby for, like, a solid 5 minutes.
That's awesome.
And I was just like, wow, like, this is what it's all about.
Yeah.
And that forever. Like, from that moment on, I actually called my wife later that day. We were just dating at the time. But I was like, I can never, ever do anything else for the rest of my life. Like, there's just no way.
The first deal.
Very, like, hand to God, very first deal I ever
Yeah,
did.
that's a God thing for sure.
Yeah, I truly felt like that was my calling at that point. That's when I was like I said, I knew I could be good at it, but I didn't know I would love it. That would, like, there was no question.
That sealed the deal.
Yeah, I was like, this is forever for me now.
That's really cool. It's got to be a special moment to be able to share that, especially with the first time home buyers. And I can see why you enjoy working with them so much. Is like it's like a step into, like, adulthood, right? Like that's like getting a notch on the belt.
It's one of those things that, like, and I'm by no means a financial advisor or anything, but, like, people talk about retiring, and there's been a lot of talk over the last couple of years of, like, raising the retirement age to 70, and, like, a lot of people are not ready for retirement, even that should be. And owning a home and having equity that you build over time and an asset that appreciates, that's one of the best ways that you can set yourself up for not even financial freedom, but just for, something that you can have dependency on for the rest of your life. And a lot of people in our generation just aren't getting that. And even beyond not getting it, a lot of people are just missing out on equity, because if you buy your first home at 22 versus 42, I mean, you're missing out on 20 years worth of equity.
Yeah.
It's a life changer.
It is. What's your take on the 50-year mortgage?
I don't know. I don't like it at a glance. The thing is, and I don't know how, I talked to a lender about this the other day. I think only like 3.5% of 30-year loans hit maturity. So, like, they actually pay it off over all 30 years. Most people pay off early. Most people sell their home well before their mortgage is ever up.
They're like 5 to 7 years is typically how long you live in a house.
Yeah. So there's, on one hand, if a 50-year mortgage will allow for payments to be several $100s a month cheaper, and it will bring the buyer pool up, because it's kind of like everything moves like a wave. So when interest rates are lower, person A has much higher buying power than they do when interest rates are lower, but it's all because of the payment. So if you can stretch the loan out over a longer period of time and qualify more people to buy homes, and people that can currently buy a $200,000 home can maybe buy a $250,000 home now, it could be a really good thing in that reason, because more people could buy. And like I said, hardly anybody, I would assume it'd be like 1%, maybe less, are going to actually hit maturity on that loan. But at the same time, it just feels insane to me to have a 50-year mortgage.
Yeah.
Like, that's just it. The interest rates would probably be higher on it too, because rates on a 30-year are higher than a 15-year. So there's a lot of, like, pros and cons to it, and I
imagine, so, like I said, I think the same thing as you. Like, I think there's good and bad to it, right? But, like, you would have to be committed to living in that house for a substantial amount of time to make it worth it, because you couldn't go sell it because you'd be upside down, right?
Yeah, well, that's another thing too, is, like, on a 15-year loan, you're going to start paying down the actual principal on it a lot faster than a 30-year. I mean, like, I usually tell people, if you're only planning on being here for 2 years, just rent. Like, if you know it's going to be a 3 to 5 year move, you're probably good to buy. Your first year or two, depending on how much you put down, your first year or two, you're basically just paying off interest. So on a 50-year, that might be your first 4 or 5 years. So I just have to see what that would look like and how they're going to structure everything.
It's a pretty cool take, yeah. That's awesome. What are some of your favorite areas to work in? Like what areas do you think are up and coming that you really like? I know you're in the Five Forks, Simpsonville area, and Fountain Inn is just blowing up right now.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I live in 296A though. I'm over off of like Fairview Road, Simpsonville.
Yeah.
I grew up in Malden. I went to Malden High School. It's crazy how much Greenville has changed since I was a kid. Like where the Grand Bohemian is now, like that was, parking lot. We used to just park there and just walk across the bridge at Falls Park and go get ice cream. But it's very different now. But I really love, I don't know what it is. I like Lawrence a lot. It's not that I like working there. I just like seeing Lawrence come up. Fountain Inn's been really cool to see grow. Greer is another one that, when I was in school, it was Gurr. It was like Gurr was out in the country.
I live right down the road in Blue Ridge.
Okay, yeah. So it's just really cool to see the areas change. I know a lot of locals hate it because it's everybody's moving here, and but there's a lot of good that comes with that. There's a little bad, traffic's getting worse, whatever. But Greenville there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of transplants here from all over. So it's really cool too. Like if you're in a room with 10 people, probably 6 of them aren't even from South Carolina. But I love working Malden, Simpsonville because I grew up there, so it's just cool. I know the area. I know all of Greenville like the back of my hand. But it's also nice every now and then to get something a little different. Like I did a deal in Jonesville not too long ago. That was pretty cool. I've been out to like Ware Shoals and kind of a little bit all over the place. So it's just cool to see different areas, Anderson, Liberty. But I don't really have a favorite, I guess. Yeah.
What are you seeing shift in the market right now? Like what kind of changes are you seeing or noticing?
Yeah, big thing this year. I think it's kind of like a multiple layered thing, but what we're seeing a lot of right now is people who bought in the COVID boom, 2019 and 2022, when rates were 3% to 4%. A lot of those buyers are not selling their homes now because they would typically around this time be upsizing a little bit. Maybe that first-time home buyer that had 1 kid or no kids bought a 3-bed. Now it's time to sell and get a 4-bedroom because they got a baby on the way. A lot of those buyers are holding on to those homes because their interest rate is so low, and you can't blame them. I mean, why would you sell a 2.8% interest rate and get a 7? So that's sort of changed the way that our inventory has been over the last 2 years. Rates are starting to come down now, which is really nice. And I'm not one of those like smart guys that's like, oh yeah, next March this is gonna happen. But
you don't have a crystal ball.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. No one does, and it's always funny to me when people act like they know. It's just like,
well, they've been saying interest rates were supposed to be down in the 5s already.
Years, But I remember in 2023 when they started going up higher, everybody was like, oh well, they're gonna come down in the fall. But there's been a shift in the market for that reason. Sellers have been a little frustrated this year. I think a lot of it is just it's relative and it's recency bias. So if you looked at a map of the last 40 years, what interest rates typically are, rates right now being in the low 6s is not really high.
Yeah.
They're pretty standard actually. A lot of in the 90s there were people getting 13, 15, 18% interest rates to buy homes. So homes were a lot cheaper then, so obviously not blind to that, but
also were wages,
Right, yeah, wages were lower too. So there's a lot of give and take that comes with it.
For sure.
But with average days on market right now being in the 80s, a lot of people that maybe bought a home in 2021, when they bought that home, there was 15 offers on it, and they had to go 40 grand over asking price, and it sold in 3 days. Well, now they've been on the market for 2 months, and they've only had 8 showings, and they're getting frustrated. So
getting offered less than what they're asking.
Right. Yeah. So there's a lot of frustration amongst sellers right now because the market has shifted. It doesn't mean it's a bad time to sell. It's really important that you lean on your realtor to know the industry and what's going on, because setting expectations at the beginning is the most important part.
Because there are people still buying, right? Like people have to buy no matter what.
Yeah.
Jobs.
I've had my best year yet. David on my team everybody on our team has had their best year yet this year.
Yeah.
And we're pretty buyer heavy. I would say in general, we're probably 70% buyer, 30% seller.
Okay.
I'm more 50-50, but most of the agents on the team are pretty buyer heavy.
Awesome. What do you like to do outside of real estate?
Man, I'm a huge sports guy. I'm a huge football guy. So I played football growing up. Steelers fan.
Okay.
My brother went to South Carolina. So in his first year there was 2009. So I became a South Carolina fan in 2009, which was like the biggest gaslight of all time because they were horrible in history before that. And right when I become a fan, we beat Clemson like 5 years in a row. We beat Alabama, had the 3 11-win seasons in a row. And And I was like, man, this is what this is like. Just,
back down you go.
Oh yeah, here we are at the bottom.
Yeah.
But, yeah. So but like if you were to ask me if I had the choice between only watching my teams and never watching any other sports, or watching all other teams and not watching my teams, I would choose to watch all other teams. Like I'm a football fan first.
Yeah.
I was up last night watching the Old Dominion game, and my wife was just laughing. She's like, "Why are you watching Old Dominion and Troy play? Like, who?" I was like, "I care. This is the Sun Belt. Like, this is a big game." She's like, "Whatever,
That's too funny.
But I'm just all about it, man.
Yeah.
I'm hooked on it.
You about to have a baby too, right?
Yeah, we got
First
a baby
kid?
girl. Yeah, coming in March.
Okay.
The due date is right around my birthday, so I'm really hoping I have a little birthday buddy.
That would be awesome.
I just think that would be so cool.
Yeah.
Especially being a little girl, It'd be like a girl dad, birthday buddy.
For sure.
I think that'd be really fun.
I got 3 girls. There's nothing like being a girl dad. And, me and my wife talked a little bit about having a 4th. And if we're not going to, but if we were, I would definitely want another girl, just because I'm familiar with it. And there's just that connection super strong. It's a special bond.
You'd have a lot of hand-me-downs too, for sure.
100%. Well, my wife, she is not she's very against clutter, so we just throw everything away.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
My brother's got 2 girls, so he's been giving me a lot of girl dad tips, and then everybody's like, "Oh, we got all these clothes you can have, and we got all these toys you can have." I'm like, "All right."
It's kind of natural instinct. When the baby's born, you'll know what to do.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm super excited, and we've been around my nieces a lot, so I've got to, it won't be my first time holding a baby or playing with a little kid or anything, so we're definitely ready.
That's awesome, man. Super special. I'll be praying for y'all.
Yeah.
Where do you see the Shinko team going?
That's a good question, man. So I'm not like I want 100 agents on my team kind of guy. I'm definitely more quality over quantity. My biggest thing is that we genuinely all make each other better, and I truly feel that way. And everybody on our team has different backgrounds. Holly came over from new construction. David was actually a house flipper before he got into real estate. I actually did a few transactions with him. I had some buyers that bought some of his flips. But Katie's been in the industry for a long time. Shaq, who played football at Clemson, has been in real estate for about 10 years, so he's got a ton of experience. He's done new build. He's done, our side of the industry. I really don't have I want 28, I don't have a number in mind. My thing is our growth has been 100% organic. I have never reached out to a single agent and said, "Hey, you should come join our team."
Yeah.
It's really just been people reaching out and saying, "Y'all's videos look so fun." It's a combination of we clearly like working with each other and we genuinely have a lot of fun doing it, but we're also producing at a really high level.
Yeah.
Most places it's one or the other, So I think that culture is really important to me. So as long as we preserve that, I just want to help the people around me chase their dreams, provide for their families. And to me, that's my biggest goal. I'm not really we have numerical goals and we have monetary goals, of course, but what really drives me is when I wake up every day, it's, am I making the people around me better? And as long as I feel like I'm doing that, that's the direction I want to go.
That's awesome, man. That's one of our core values is E. So we're constantly trying to make people evolve, or trying to help people evolve into better people each and every day.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, if somebody's looking to buy or sell their house and they're looking to get a hold of you, where can they find you at?
Facebook is where a lot of people find us. Obviously, look me up on Facebook, Justin Shinko. Our team page, Shinko and Associates. We try to post a good combination of informational videos and also fun stuff so people will actually watch it. So it's not, boring to follow us, but that's a good spot. And then obviously cell 864-915-4100, or you can email me at justinshinko@remax.net.
Awesome, man. And I can't agree. Your content is awesome. When you said Shaq, I remember going back to that video where y'all were sitting at the table going back and forth about Clemson and Carolina.
Oh, yeah. We had to call in Kevin on that one.
Yeah.
That's
my friend. Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and appreciate you.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Cool.